Hello ladies and gents, boys and girls, that's my iPhone in a deck box to use as a flashlight. I thought it would be pretty nifty, but it's whatever, it's not the best in the world. My room is dark. I'm gonna have to film elsewhere in a future video. I don't know if you guys are going to be fully interested in Magic the Gathering at all, but hopefully you guys learn to love it, or if you already are a fan of Magic the Gathering, then I hope you appreciate the value of this video. Anyway, cut the chase, cut the introduction. I'm going to show you guys the first deck that I just recently built. I have other decks work in progress, but this is the one that I believe after rebuilding six or seven times, I think I've reached a point where I'd say this is comfortable, and it's a zombie deck that'll pretty much stand on its own 2 feet, even without 2/2 zombie tokens, which they are nice. That's just icing on the cake. We're going to go to mana distribution and land first off, then we're going to go into artifacts and spells, and finally creatures. First off, I have one Haunted Fengraf, which it's a non-basic land. Tap to add 1 discolor to my mana pool. Tap 3 and tap this, sacrifice it, return a creature card at random from the graveyard to my hand. Great for resurrection, and good for getting mana out there early in the game, and then when you don't need any more mana, you can use this to bring back a creature. I have a full set of Evolving Winds, non-basic land again, and sacking Evolving Winds and just replace it with a basic land card. Good for getting mana out there pretty early. Next, we're going to go to my beep boop, my next part, which is the basic mana distribution. It's a 2-color mana pool here, mostly black with a discolor of blue. I believe I have 12 to 14 swamps. Let me go through that. 4, 5. I want to go through this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, 13 swamps. 13 swamps, 7 islands. Standard 20. With some Evolving Winds and Haunted Fengraf, which is good for getting mana out there, even for an 80-card deck, which you will realize soon why I only have this much mana in an 80-card deck. And you'll see that in a moment, so we'll get on to artifacts. Now, artifacts, I have Cellar Door, costs 2, and then you could tap 3 and tap Cellar Door, and target player puts the bottom card of his or her library into the graveyard. If it's a creature, I put a 2/2 black zombie creature token on the battlefield. Then I have Termod's Crypt, cost 0, tap and sacrifice Termod's Crypt, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. Great for 1v1s, and great for if you know you're facing against someone who can also resurrect cards from their graveyard, or bring cards from their graveyard back into their hand, or shuffle their graveyard back into their library, like Elixir of Immortality. Great card to have. Staff of the Death Magus, standard. It's a very standard staff. It just gives you a life for every black spell or swamp that you cast. Since this is mainly a black deck, and majority of it is, swamps, it's a really easy life gain. It's not completely necessary. Again, it's just icing on the cake. We're going to go to the 2 artifacts, the 2 basic mana artifacts, the Dimir Cluestone. You can tap to add a blue or a black to your mana pool, or you can just sacrifice this and draw a card after tapping 2 mana. Again, it's basically as soon as you get a lot of, you have most of your mana out on the battlefield, go ahead and just give yourself a couple extra cards. You can't hurt with that. I have basic zombie tokens, 2 different artworks. We have this artwork by Lucas, and then I have one of an odd end out. I want to get more of this artwork made by Cynthia Shepherd. I want to get more artwork for that zombie token. But other than that, it doesn't really matter. Tokens are tokens. I've been using poker chips as tokens too. It's not all that important, but it's good to have. Now we're going to go with the sorceries, spells, and enchantments. We're going to go ahead and start with Curse of the Bloody Tome. A majority blue spell, costs 3 to cast, and you enchant a player, and at the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, they mill 2. I have 2 of those, so it's very nice if you're running against multiple opponents and you just want the advantage of rummaging through their graveyard as a resurrection deck, which we'll get more into these in a second. I have a couple of Mind Sculpts, cost 2, and they mill 7. Very nice again. Liturgy of Blood, very nice sorcery card. Even though it costs 5, you get 3 to your mana pool and you destroy a target creature. So this is a very good sorcery card for if you want to do back-to-back sorceries, and I know since this costs 5, you'll end up it's almost like paying 2 to cost Liturgy of Blood just to destroy target creature. And it's very nice again for back-to-back castings and maybe some cheap creatures after casting these spells, which I'll get to in a minute. I believe I have a full set of Vile Rebirths. I think I'm only showing 3 in this video, but it's just cost 1, and you get to exile a target creature from any graveyard, and you put a 2/2 zombie creature token on the battlefield. I believe I only have 3. I could get a full set, but but for the instances that I've had a full set, they're almost in the way because I have to focus on a creature more so than just not any other card. I have a couple of Ghoul Caller's Chance. Very nice for simple resurrection for zombies from the graveyard. It costs 1, and I get to choose one of 2 abilities. Return any creature from the graveyard to my hand, or return 2 zombie creatures from the graveyard to my hand. Very nice for a majority for a zombie creature deck, and I have I believe 20% of my creatures are not zombies. There are human rogues like corpse haulers, which I'll get to that again in a minute. But if you were really working on getting some combos out there and you want to get your creatures to get those combos back, Ghoul Caller's Chance are really nice. I believe I have a full set of cremates. Again, I'm only showing 3 because I'm trying to slim down my deck. Again, they cost 1, like Vile Rebirths, except you can exile any card from any graveyard and you draw a card. Again, great for building up your hand, maybe getting some mana, and they're really low cost. It's a nice interrupt as an instant. I don't doubt that. Next, we're going to get to the odd ends out, things that I don't have any duplicates of. We'll get to just sorcery and instants, and then we'll get to populating in a bit. Necrobite gives a creature death touch and it regenerates it. If you know you're in a sticky situation where you know you have to block with a really good comboed creature and you don't want it to die, just save your ass with Necrobite, basically to ensure that the other creature that's attacking it dies and you stay alive. So very nice. I have a couple of these. I'm only showing 1. This is a very nice foil. Public Execution. Destroy target creature and opponent controls, and every other creature that he or she controls gets -2, -0. Very nice to cast since it's an instant. If they are attacking with multiple creatures, very nice, especially if they're token users, because most tokens are 1 or 2. I know there are Centaur tokens that have 3, and like Rhino tokens that have 4 and 4 trample, but most of the times I've been facing people who use 1/1 soldiers or 2/2 knights, and this is very nice. It pretty much, if you're facing against somebody who uses a lot of weak 1/1 or 2/2 tokens, it just shuts them out completely. Then there's pretty much no point for them to even attack. Very nice, and it is a 6 mana cost. It's a very nice card. It's like Liturgy of Blood, but it's just like a little bit better than that. Then we have Undying Evil. It gives a target creature undying till the end of turn, so therefore, again, like Necrobite, it'll save your ass if you're targeted, or if you're blocking with a creature that you know is going to die, but you don't want any of your life to be taken, and you want to kind of save your creature's ass. It'll just bring it back from the dead with a 1/1 counter on it. Undying Evil. Alright, now we're going to get into 3 cards here that are bringing, specifically meant to bring zombie tokens on the battlefield. And I'll start with these two, and I'll save that one for last. We have Moan of the Unhallowed. Again, all these three have flashback, which is the point of getting mana out there really early so you can double cast these. So we have Moan of the Unhallowed. It costs 4. You can flashback for 7, and you put 2/2/2 black zombie creature tokens on the battlefield. Pretty standard. Then we have Reap the Seagraph. Flashback for 5, cost for 3, and put just 1/2/2 black zombie creature token on the battlefield. I know that seems pretty expensive just for 1, and flashbacking for 5 just to get 1 more. I'm trying to look for a replacement for this. I might just get a full set of Moan of the Unhallowed, just to put a couple of them out there at a time. But here's where this really shines. If you're really in a sticky situation and you're low on creatures and you need a last resort, there's the mythic rare Army of the Damned. It costs 8, flashback for 10, and you put 13 2/2 black zombie creature tokens on the battlefield tapped. Very nice if you're in a very sticky situation. Since they do come onto the battlefield tapped, I do not recommend that you save this for last, or else you'll just be giving yourself a dumb defense. Very nice just to cast almost at any time, and there's absolutely no downside to this card other than they come onto the battlefield tapped. However, I believe these are untapped on the battlefield, so I'd say use these as a last resort more so than Army of the Damned. Alright. We went through artifacts, land, and sorcery. Now we're going to go to our main creature spells. And I'm going to start off with some basics. We're going to start off with a basic 2/2 walking corpse. Cost 2, it's a 2/2 basic zombie. Nothing too special about that. We're going to start with the non-specials and start working my way up. I have 2 Tenacious Deads. Skeleton Warrior, costs 1. It's a 1/1 that costs 1. I do recommend for any deck that you're building to put some 1/1s that cost 1 that have an ability. They're very nice, you can't go wrong with it. It has Regenerate for 2, which basically this is a very long definition for 2 when it doesn't regenerate it, but it does Resurrect for 2. I believe regeneration is for combat, and this is as if it dies from combat, or if it dies for any reason, just pay 2 and it comes back. Very nice. Let's see, we're going to go a little less basic. This costs 2, and it's a 1/3. Very nice for defending early on in the game. You get some pretty decent blockers for low cost. Gnawing Zombie, if you tap 2 mana and sacrifice any creature, just target player loses a life and you gain a life. Which this is a zombie resurrection deck, so you don't mind sacrificing creatures just to poke them for 1 life once in a while. Not bad. We have right here in the corner Corpse Haulers. These cost 2, and they're 2/1s. They're human rogues. Tap 3 mana, sacrifice Corpse Hauler, and return another target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Very nice in just like low ball situations where there's possibly no way you can get your creature cards back into your hand or back onto the battlefield. Just revert to Corpse Haulers and just bring them back to your hand. Alright, we're going to get to the specialty of this. These are rares. A full set of grave crawlers. They cost 1 mana, and they're 2/1s. They can't block, but you can cast grave crawlers from the graveyard as long as you control a zombie. I do have a full set, because, dude, who wouldn't want a full set of grave crawlers for a zombie deck? Very nice, and for 1s that cost 2/1, and you don't really care if they die, because then you can just bring them back. Even for 1 cost, bring them back, casting them from the graveyard. Very nice. Now, what you're saying is, well, you know, Ryan, you're focusing a lot on grounds. I'll get to that in a second. Then I have this one odd end out that's not really special. I want to get a full set. Ghoul Raisers cost 3. When Ghoul Raiser enters the battlefield, return a zombie card at random from graveyard to your hand. Very nice. I'd like to get a full set of these. We'll move on to, let's see, something special. Here we go. I do have a full set of corpse blockades. They're 1/4 defenders on the ground, and if I sacrifice a creature, corpse blockade gains death touch until the end of turn. Very nice for sticky situations where you know you're gonna face like a large army of tokens on the ground, or just any creatures on the ground regardless, and very, very nice defenders. If only they had flying, which I'll get to that in a minute. Zombies are pretty much vulnerable to flyers. That's kind of how Magic goes, and that's kind of how people understood it as, but not this deck. I'll get to that. I have a couple of these over here. Now I know what you're gonna say, these aren't zombies, and I was like, you're not making a true zombie deck. I have 2 fog banks. Now fog banks, if you don't know, they're defender walls, they're flying, and they prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to and dealt by fog bank. They're an impenetrable wall for standard creatures. However, if you're facing somebody who has trample and you block with Fogbank, yes, Fogbank will still be alive, but you will still take the trample damage. They are 0/2s. You can go ahead and buff them up in any combat situations. I do not have any buff ups. There's no need for it. This is just overrun deck, so there's no point. Fog banks are pretty much used in this particular deck mainly for anti-flyers, because if you're facing against an all-angel deck, you're going to need a couple of defenders who can block in the air and block combat damage. So yeah, why not have a couple fog banks? Why not have a full set? Alright, now we're going to get into the run-of-the-mill, as I would like to call it, the main core. Obviously this was the main core, but we'll get to the ones that have a little bit of flavor added to them. We're going to start off with Arbitoire Ghoul here in the corner. I have a couple of them. I'd like to have a full set. They're cost 4, and they're 3/2s with first strike. They're very nice zombies. And whenever a creature that dies that had dealt damage by Arbitoire Ghoul, I gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Very nice combo with first strike and life gain, as if my Staff of the Death Mages didn't already give me enough life. Arbitoire Ghoul also gives me a couple extra lives. If only I had lifelink, but sadly lifelink is a white thing. Alright, we have a couple of Return Centaurs. Again, I'd like to have a full set. They cost 4 and they're a 2/4. And when Return Centaur enters the battlefield, I get to target a player and he mills 4. Again, very nice for making them discard and using their graveyards against them. Alright, now we'll get to the awesome part of why I pick blue. Multicolored Diregraph Captain, Zombie Soldier with Death Touch, 2/2 with Death Touch, and other zombies that you control get +1/+1. And whenever a zombie that you control dies, that target opponent loses a life. Very nice, especially if you have Army of the Damned and swing all 13/13s that are now 3/3s, and if they manage to trample over a lot of them, they're going to be losing a lot of life. Very nice. Next, we're going to go to Grey Merchant of Asphodel. Another zombie that's cost 5, and it's a 2/4, but it's mainly the ability of why I've gotten these cards. Now, Grey Merchant of Asphodel, when it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is my devotion to black. Devotion are these little converted mana cost symbols, like this devotion is equal to 2. However, since this is mainly, even if it is a low-cost devotion deck, I still think if you have a decent amount of creatures out there, each opponent's going to lose life, and you gain that much life. I have a couple of them in there, basically, again, for gaining life, save face, and it's not bad at all. Alright, we're going to go to Lifebane Zombies. I have 3. I'd like to have a full set. This costs 3, and it's a 3/1 with Intimidate. Basically, it's unblockable unless they block with a black creature or block with an artifact creature. Very nice. Good way to deal direct damage to an opponent. You can buff these up a little bit with some counters, and they have an added effect. This is very, very awesome. When Lifebane Zombie enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a green or white creature card and exile it. Very nice when you know you're facing against, I don't know, a holy deck or a green combat trample deck. And you don't really want to worry about your zombies dying or flyers getting at you. You can go ahead and exile your opponent's flyers before they even have a chance to cast them. Very nice for Intimidate for 3 cost, I'd say. Very nice for 3 cost. We're gonna get another one to another singled odd end out. I'd like to have more, but sadly only have one. This is Liliana's Reaver. Yes, this is the Planewalker's Liliana Vess's Reaver. It costs 4, and it's a 4/3 with Death Touch. And whenever Liliana's Reaver deals direct combat damage to a player, that player discards a card, and I populate with a 2/2 zombie creature token. Very nice. Considering that I wish this had Fear, I wish this had Intimidate, and if you give this Whisper Silk Cloak, or anything that could give this unblockable, even with Death Touch, people are threatened to block a creature that has Death Touch, knowing that their creature would die as well. But so they decide not to block it, and they take the damage directly. They discard a card, and I populate with a 2/2 zombie token. Very nice. And now we'll get to the last but not least. I know this video's been going on for forever. I have duplicates of the legendary. This is, oh god, I'm proud of these. Costed $1 each for me, even though they're $3 worth. Alright, this is Grimgrin Corpseborn. Legendary Zombie Warrior. 5/5. Cost 5. Very nice for a 5/5 that costs 5 already. Now when Grimgrin enters the battlefield, it enters the battlefield tapped. It doesn't untap during my next untap step. However, if I sacrifice a creature, it gets a 1/1 counter and untaps. So it's ready to go. And when I'm ready to attack, whenever I swing to attack, it gets another 1/1 counter, and before they even have a chance to block, I destroy target creature that the defending player controls. Then I put a 1/1 counter on it, and they still have to block it. So before I even deal damage to them, this 5/5 is now a 7/7, and one of their creatures is destroyed, and they have to block it, or just take the damage. It's very nice for a cost 5. I am completely overwhelmed by how awesome that this is. Just a combo in itself. Whenever you cast it, enters the battlefield tapped, sacrifice a creature, untaps, gets a 1/1 counter, swing to attack, gets a second 1/1 counter, and you destroy a creature that the defending player controls, and they still have to do something about the combat. Very nice. That's why I have a couple of them. I know the legendary rule, you can't have more than one legendary of one kind on the field, but just in case this ever dies for any particular reason, I have a backup. So this is very nice to use if you're using a zombie deck and you need a legendary. I recommend Grimgrin Corpseborn. Very asshole-ish, I'd say. But I don't consider any other zombie legendary even fathomable to this. If you're really looking for a good combat zombie deck, I'd say get these legendary creatures. Alright guys, well that's all I have to show you today. That was the Unforgiving Undead. If you'd like to see more Magic the Gathering videos from me, be sure to like, comment, favorite, subscribe. And I know I've been a gaming channel, but I want to venture away from that and get into entertainment. So any kind of entertainment. So have fun, guys, and if you're a Magic fan, please like this video. Go check out my other decks that I'm going to be building online on tappedout.net. I'll put that in the link in the descriptions below. And have fun, guys. Wizards of the Coast. See ya.